Hi there, Tutor Abednego here. Welcome to today's session. Alright, so in today's session, we're going to continue answering Mathematics 2023 Paper 2 internal. We're now on question 5a, where the first question is on algebraic fractions and we are required to simplify. Then the second part of the question is on flowchart, where we're required to convert these pseudocodes to flowchart. Alright, so let's have our solutions over here. That is question 5a. So now, what we have there is 10p cubed to the power 4, everything over 8 m to the power 4 n squared divided by 35 to the power 4 to the power 3 4m power 4 n squared. Alright, so before we start solving that question, I just want to give you an introduction to how we divide fractions. So we divide fractions using what we call the KCF, which means keep, change, and flip. So let's say you have 2 over 3 divided by, let's say, 15 over, 15 here. Let's have our 15 down here. Then let's have our 4 there. Okay? So we're dividing these two fractions. So keep, change, flip is what we use, KCF. So keep means you keep the first fraction the way it is, so we're going to keep it like that. Change means we change the division sign to multiplication. And then flip means the bottom number comes down, the top number comes down, the bottom number goes up. So meaning it's going to be 15 over 4. You can see the 4 has gone down, the 15 has gone up. At this point, we can now reduce by simply saying 3 there, 1, 3 there, 5, 2 there, 1, 2 there, 2. So I now remain with 1 over 1 on the left side times 5 over 2. At this point, we cannot reduce any further. So now when you get to a point of multiplication, you multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So it's going to be 1 times 5, giving us a 5, 1 times 2, giving us a 2. So this is how we divide fractions. The reason why we do this is because we want to increase our options of reducing. Because when it's like this, you can only try to reduce like this. Okay? But when you have multiplication, you can reduce like this. You can also reduce diagonally like that. So that is basically how we are also going to solve this question, except it's a bit different because it also has variables. It has letters. So we're going to say 10 like that over 8m to the power 4 n squared, and then we change. So we've kept this one the way it is, and then we change that to multiplication, and then we flip these values. So meaning the 4m to the power 4 n squared goes on top, and then the 25 to the power 4 q cubed comes down here. So you notice to say these values are usually strategically placed when you do the keep, change, flip. That's when you can easily reduce. You can see, you can say 4 into 4, 1, 4 into 8, 2. Okay, 5 into 10, that is 2. 5 into 25, that is 5. Okay, and you can see again this and this will cancel out. This and this will cancel. This and that will cancel. That and that will cancel. Unlike the way it was like this, we couldn't cancel the way they were. Alright, so we're going to first simplify the coefficients part, and then that's when we're going to go to the variables. So by coefficients, I'm simply referring to the numbers. Okay, so we're going to say 5 into 10, that's 2. 5 into 25, that is 5. Then we can say 4 into 8, that is 2. 4 into 4, 1. So we can also cancel out the 2's. 2 into 2, 1. 2 into 2, 1. So meaning all the coefficients, all the numbers here are cancelled, we'll just remain with variables. So we have p cubed to the power 4 over m to the power 4 n squared times, this side we have 1 over 5 for the numbers. So since we have variables, there's no need for us to indicate the 1, because when the coefficient of a variable is 1, we do not write it. And down here we have 5p the power 4 q cubed, like that. and then we can reduce. So m to the power 4 and m to the power 4 cancel. N squared and n squared cancel. What do you remain with there? You remain with a 1. And then 3p's cancel. 3p's from there, remaining with 1p. Okay? 3q's cancel. 3q's from there, remaining with 1q there. So up here, I'll just remain with q. Down here, everything has been cancelled, so we are remaining with a 1. Times, everything has been cancelled there, so we have a 1 there. And then here, what is remaining? We're just remaining with 5p. So we have 5p. So be very careful. Make sure you pick all the values that have remained. Don't leave out any value. So at this point, we've gotten to a part where we cannot reduce any further. So we go ahead and multiply. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So q times 1, that is q, over 1 times 5p. That gives us 5p. And that will be our final answer. All right, so we now come to B, which is a question where we are required to convert from pseudocode to flowchart. So that one requires that we have some enough space. So I'll erase this so that I can create space for question B. So before we solve, I'll just do a brief introduction. There are certain shapes we're supposed to use to plug in the codes when you're converting to flowchart. So the first shape is an oval. When you see an oval, this is where you plug in any of these words: start or stop, begin or end. Whenever you see these words, you plug them into an oval. Okay? And then you have a parallelogram. Okay? So this is where you plug in words such as enter, input, output, print, and display. Whenever you see these words, you plug in the information into this shape. And then the next one is called a decision box, the diamond box. Okay? This side it has yes, down here it has no. So we have no there, and then we have yes here. This one, you use it whenever you see the word if. Okay? And then when plugging in the information here, you switch the if to is. Okay? You change the if to is. So many are going to say is. And then we can plug in that information. Is S less than E? That's what we're going to write here. And then the last shape we have is a rectangle. So a rectangle is called an instruction box. Instruction box. And this is where you plug in formulas. So whenever you see a formula, you plug into that instruction box. So these are the shapes that we're going to be using whenever you're converting pseudocode to flowchart. Whenever you see start, stop, begin, or end, you use the oval. So usually if the code starts with start, it will end with stop. As you can see, it started with start, it ends with stop. Okay? If it starts with begin, it has to end with end. So it goes the same way when you're converting from flowchart to pseudo. If your code starts with start, you can't end with end. You can't end with end, yes. Okay, you have to end with stop. If the code starts with begin, you have to end with end. All right, so when you have this, use an oval. When you have this here, use a parallelogram. When you have a decision to make where you see if, use a diamond. And then when you have the formula, you plug it into the rectangle. So now, let's solve this question. So the code starts with start. So meaning we're going to plug in that into an oval. Simply say start. And then you draw an arrow going downwards. Go to the next one. So we're done with this line. We come to this line of code. So this one says enter. The keyword there is enter. We said whenever you see enter, you have to use a parallelogram. So we're going to say enter what? We just list the values as they're appearing. Enter E, comma, S. So E, comma, S. When you're done, you draw another arrow coming down. What is the next line of code? It says if. We said whenever you see if, you have to use a diamond shape. Okay? The decision box. And you change the if to is. So we're going to say is S less than E, and then you add the question mark since it's a question. Okay? is S less than E. Okay, this side you're going to have yes, and then down here you're going to have no. Okay, so when it is yes, this you will then proceed to the next line of code where it says display error message. We said whenever you see display, you have to use a rectangle, a parallelogram. So I'm going to say display. Just copy the message the way it is appearing and you punctuate it accordingly. Error. So let me put the message down here. Display error message. Then you can close the shape. Okay. So here there are certain scenarios where you need to draw an arrow taking you back to where you're supposed to enter values. So that is only done when this let's say it says display error message and re-enter. Okay, that's when you draw an arrow coming back to this one. But because that part of this line of code does not say and re-enter, we're going to leave it like the way it is. So now we go to the next one, which says else probability is equal to that. So now here we have a formula. We said when you have a formula, you have to plug it into a rectangle. So I'm going to say probability is equal to, that is E divided by S. So in when you are converting to flowchart, division is denoted by a forward slash. This is equal to division. And then an asterisk, okay, is equal to multiplication, asterisk. This star, it represents multiplication. So we've plugged in our formula. And then when we get to end if, when we're converting from pseudo to flowchart, we skip this line of code. Okay? So you need to remember it. Every time before you display whatever formula needs to be displayed. So this is a formula for probability. And we're getting here to display probability. Before you display, so this is a tip for when you're converting from flowchart to pseudocode. Before you display whatever needs to be displayed after plugging in the formula, you have to write the word end if. Because you won't see it on the flowchart here. Okay, but when you're converting from pseudocode to flowchart, when you see end if, you skip it and you then go to the next line of code, which is display probability. And we said whenever you see the word display, like you've seen here, we used a parallelogram. So even here, we're going to use a parallelogram. So I'm simply going to say display. We're just going to say display P and not display probability. Okay, we're done, and now we go to stop. So stop, we said you have to use an oval. So we're going to have an oval here, and we write the word stop in it. So that is how you're supposed to answer that question, and you get yourself 5 marks. Alright, otherwise that is that. Thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, please give it a like. And if you would like to see more of such content and you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, or you are not yet following us on TikTok, or whichever platform you're watching this video from, be sure to do the needful so that whenever I share more of these videos, you'll be able to see them from your newsfeed. And if you know any grade 12s writing this year, these videos are meant to help them. So please invite them over. I share them every single day. I share 2 per day. I share one at 05 hours and the other one at 18 hours. So we're currently solving mathematics paper 2. And this is just basically to help them as they are preparing for their mathematics exam. Otherwise, thank you for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.